Hello, my beautiful human. Welcome back to the She Did It Anyway podcast. I am so excited to share 6 of my favorite books. And this is going to be a combination of fiction, which is one of my favorite things to read, some business and entrepreneurship books that have helped me in my journey, whether it is from really hearing other stories, from other founders or learning systems and marketing. And there's also some books for just self-help when it comes to your habits and all the things. So let's just dive in. My favorite book to kick it off is WorkParty by Jaclyn Johnson. Now, this book I really dove into right before I interviewed her for the She Did It Anyway podcast. And it was so cool to see the evolution of this human and really see what someone can do when they are facing adversities. For her, it was like a big move. She got laid off. It was just really cool to see how she took all of those things and created what you know now as Create and Cultivate. I really love that because it's a combination of storytelling and then tactical advice. So it's called WorkParty by Jaclyn Johnson. The second book that I really, really love is Building a StoryBrand by Donald Miller. This is one of my favorite books because it is the marketing approach that I've learned in school. It's the marketing approach that we used to take at Yahoo, where you're really positioning your customer or your client as the hero. A lot of business owners actually do the opposite, where they think that their product is the hero product, right? Because that's what you're told to create, your hero product, the most important product, the product that's going to help hundreds of thousands of people and all the things. But in this book, it really tells you the power and really illustrates the power of positioning your client and your customer as the hero and you as the guide, where you're giving them that product or the help that they need to help them through whatever challenge that they're facing. So that's a really, really good one. The third one is a book that I got introduced last year to. It's called Traction by Gino, Wickman. And I loved this book because it's all about systems and organizing your business. And if you know me, you know I have an Excel sheet for an Excel sheet. It's just my way my brain works. It really, really helps me stay organized to have different systems. And I'll talk a little bit more in another episode about systems and my automations, because over the years, I have definitely learned the hard way, but have tried so many different platforms. I am the type of person where I have like shiny syndrome, or shiny object syndrome. And so if I find a new platform, I'm like, ooh, let me try that. And it actually works in my favor because I end up just being aware of all of the platforms that exist and how to use them. And so Traction is a really cool system because it goes through how to grow your business through these different systems and tools that will help you obviously be productive, but really allow your business to scale. Now, the next 3 books are going to be my favorite fiction books. I can actually make a whole like hour-long episode about fiction books, but I love, and I don't know, I actually assume you're the same, but I love a good like mystery. Colleen Hoover, like any of her books are my favorite, like favorite books to read. My favorite book from hers is It Ends With Us. I actually have to get the It Starts With Us because that one is, I've heard really good things. I'll buy it today once I stop recording. But I love a good fiction book where it literally makes you cry and laugh and just feel the feelings, and you feel like you're inside a movie, or it's like this is real life. It's the coolest thing. And I know I can like geek out about it a lot, but it's just such a powerful thing to make someone feel something through words. If you are really, really good at that, you're going to get really far. And our girl Colleen has gone so far with her stories. So the second one is Verity. That one's a really, really good one, also by Colleen. It is a romantic thriller and it is so good. You have to read it. Like if any of these 6 books, you have to read the 2 by Colleen Hoover. If you have already, you like send me a message because I want to geek out about it with you. Now, the last one is actually not a fiction book. Sorry. It is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. That is one of my favorite books. It talks about really that 1% building habits. This has helped me so much because you don't realize the habits that you actually already have and whether they're good or bad, right? Like you just, for me, even one of the habits that I called out was that I would just like naturally pick up my phone and just check notifications without even thinking, without looking for really anyone anyone or anything. It's just a habit that I do. And so really being able to control your habits, break through other habits, and build better ones are, so a lot of the things that he dives into in this book. So Atomic Habits. So let me walk through them really quickly. WorkParty, Building a StoryBrand, Traction, It Ends with Us, Verity, and Atomic Habits. Now, it is very ironic to me that I am recording a podcast episode about reading books, because reading was something that I really, really struggled with when I was younger, because English is my second language. And so I will never forget this. I remember reading out loud in class, and I read, instead of ma'am, I read mama, and the uproar of laughter that happened in that class, I'll never forget it. And it made me so scared to not only read, but read out loud. It made me create the story of myself that like, I can't speak in public. I'm not a good public speaker. I can't read. I get so nervous. It stayed with me for years, to the point where, these are just like random stories that I remember, but our priest would come over and he bless our house, right? And so he would then give everybody like a part of the Bible to read, and it would be my turn. And I would literally like start sweating. I can't see the words on the paper, and I would get so anxious, and I would get really nervous. It was so bad. And I still get to that point now, to this date. It's probably not as extreme, but it is always where it is a paragraph or a sentence or a book or a story or something that I'm reading out loud that I'm not familiar with, and I have to read it from scratch. For whatever reason, I just get really, really anxious, and not for whatever reason. That is literally reasons, because I was traumatized when I was younger. And so for me to now have reading as a hobby of mine has just made me so happy, because it was something that I truly, truly struggled with when I was younger. I realized as entrepreneurs, sometimes we're always learning, which is amazing. And if you're not that type of entrepreneur, you need to be always learning and mastering your craft. But on the flip side, it is so important to read something else outside of self-help, read something else outside of educational content to master your craft. Read fiction books, get out of your own, life and everyday story, and create something new for yourself. And I love to immerse myself in these stories. For example, with Colleen Hoover's books, like they just are the absolute best. So anything that will really allow me to feel, my feelings throughout this other story and throughout this other person is really powerful. And it has been, a different form of meditation for me, or self-love. So I can't wait to hear which books that you have read from this list and which books you are grabbing. I will link everything in the show notes. Of course, you can see all of my other favorite books on Amazon, and I cannot wait to geek out on these books with you in my DMs. All right, I'll talk to you later.
And don't forget, no matter what, she did it anyway.